Hello, I'm here today with Matthew Wilson, who is the director of the new film Awesomest Christmas Ever, which is dropping on Friday, a simultaneous release on Prime Video and YouTube, correct?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
The film takes place during Christmas time, follows 10-year-old Ollie, who is pictured here, who discovers 6 days before Christmas that his parents are planning to get a divorce. They don't know he knows. Their plan is to tell him after Christmas, so he realizes he now has an opportunity to try to change his fate because he's not excited about the divorce or the prospect of moving. He involves a couple of his friends, including Katie, who is pictured above, to
Mhm.
try and find a way to parent trap his parents into staying together. So I thought this one was fun, really cute. What kind of led to the idea to come up with this movie?
Okay, a lot of different things. I had this idea for a while. Some of it was a reaction to seeing some of the things that were already out there in sort of Christmas movie land. There's been a few different like takes on this idea where like kid wants parents to get back together, and like somehow Santa Claus gets them back together, which I always thought was like, yeah, that's so lame. Like, what would the kids do if it was just kind of up to them, and then other things too were like just like knowing you being of the age now where like I know quite a few people who've gone through a divorce and just kind of seeing all that and wanting to have some kind of reality to the reality of all of that play throughout the story, because some of these movies that I see where people are trying to get people back together, it's like, why were these people apart in the first place? Like there's no reason why these people are should be apart. They're clearly going to get back together. There's no question. There's no mystery. There's not really anything like real going on. And I wanted to tell a story where these parents, they've got some real problems. They can't even agree on like how to tell like a story of like what happened on their engagement night. It sets them into this huge massive argument
And
just on getting them the nitty gritty of the details. And most people look at that and be like, you guys, who cares? What's the big deal? But to them, somehow it's a big deal. And that's how things have become with them, all this tension. And then I thought like, but also, I don't want to do like sad Christmas movie just exploring the drama of a parent's relationship. It's like, with the reason we've got the kids in there is like, what's the kids' point of view? What do they think is going on? What do they think could possibly fix this? What is it like from or in their world? And obviously, it's not a spoiler to give away that like they get a lot of things wrong. There's a lot of things they think are gonna
well, I
fix
took
it.
it you
No,
must be
fix
a fan of the Parent Trap because obviously name check Lindsay Lohan a
yes.
few times in there. So you must be a fan of the. I take it the Lohan version. Which did you
Yes.
realize is it
I,
that or Freaky Friday? One of them's getting a sequel. I was like,
I think it's Freaky Friday that's
yeah,
getting a sequel. Yes, yeah. Well, I tried to reference both those in there because if you remember when like there's the initial moment where the friend is saying like, oh, you got to be like the Lindsay Lohans, the two girls both named Lindsay Lohan, and Ollie's like, what are you talking about? He's like, remember like they swap bodies on Friday, so he's mixing up Parent Trap and Freaky Friday there. But Parent Trap was one I went back and watched, like very just sweet movie, and I feel and actually really great performance from the young Lindsay Lohan. I don't know how old she was when she made that, but I thought it was pretty good for being whatever age she was. They're just a kid. But that was another one where I was like, all right, these parents, like, why did they ever split up? Like they're clearly getting back together. There's no doubt. It was kind of like the thing with the like the standard Christmas movies. That was another thing I was thinking about a lot when I wanted to enter the Christmas movie fray here, is that 99.9% of them are the romance movies. It's
Hallmark has an entire cottage industry based on that.
yes, yeah. And I'm always like, man, who's watching all these movies? And I'll say that at like a family gathering, and my mom and all my like female cousins are like, we're all watching them. I'm like, okay, I see why they're popular. But like with those, it's like, yeah, you already that they're going to get back together. There's no kind of real issues, between them, and that's kind of like the model of those. But again, I want to be like, let's have some real issues, some serious things. But at the same time, this is a comedy, and I don't want it to be all down and serious. I want it to have fun with like, all right, the kids think they can fix this, but like there's so much they don't know. They don't know why mom and dad are arguing. They don't know which grandma is which, if it's mom's dad or dad's or mom's mom or
Grandma and grandpa did not help them out. Did not help the parents with that engagement story either. I'm just sitting there. I was like, oh man, that's a bad beat for dad there. Was it the story idea of trying to get two parents back together, or the idea of wanting to make a Christmas movie that came first, or did it kind of all come together? Was it making a Christmas movie like all
kind of both, yeah. Kind of all came together at once. Well, and some of it came from too, just looking at what I've been able to do before. I've made several movies now that have been able to get distributed on streaming services. Remember, like last time we talked about my movie Danny Doom, which I was very happy to get that movie out into the world. I will say it didn't get the engagement that I hoped. I'm always hoping they're going to be big, massive hits, and it didn't get the engagement that I'd hoped there. But one thing that I did hear from one of my brothers is that his kids had watched it like over and over and over again. And I didn't really picture it as like a kid's movie, but I was thinking like, hey, I think kids they don't mind if they're watching something on the streaming service and they don't know who the actors are. They could care less what the budget was or whatever. It's just like, does it look interesting to them, and they'll watch it. So that's the reason I was thinking about doing something that would star kids, that would be from the kids' point of view, is that hopefully something then that kids out there would appreciate and want to watch. And then also with the Christmas movies as well, I was thinking about how these Christmas movies are always it's just romance. And it was like, where's the attempt to like do the next Home Alone? That's more like the vibe I wanted to go with this one.
So, you've done a few features and you've had kids in your films. Danny Doom, probably, I don't know if that guy was in his 20s. I think he's supposed to be a teen, but a little bit older. But this one focused really on younger kids. What was that? That we've heard from many people before, that can be real hit or miss. It can be great. It can not be great. I thought your two main leads that played Ollie and Katie were a lot of fun.
Oh, awesome.
So what was it like kind of working with kids as your main focus?
I would like exactly what you're saying about how that can be hit or miss. I was thinking about that up until like the night before I started shooting. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm putting my life's work in the hand of a couple of 9-year-olds. I think before I thought they were 10. I think they were actually 9 when we were shooting, and then they turned 10 like a month later. But anyway, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh boy, like how is this going to go? Because like, in order to make a movie with the budget I have, like we have to stay on schedule. Like we got to make sure we get all the shots every day. There's not going to be time to like, just, well, that day didn't go so well, let's do it all over again tomorrow. It's like, we got to stay on schedule here. And actually the lead kid, so Gus Howell, who played Ollie, had like a hard out. Like we wrapped on December 22nd, and he had to like fly to do a show in New York like a couple days after that.
So you were really shooting in the run up to Christmas too.
Yes, yeah. But I will say, but the kids, I was so blown away at how great they were. Like just like their energy, their enthusiasm, and really their professionalism. Like they were happy to do take after take after take. I was thinking like, are these kids going to get tired? Do we got to do like nap time or something like that? And they were just like gung ho, like all day, every day. They were focused. They listened well. They were little memorizing machines. Like they memorized the dialogue so well. At one point, Gus, when I was telling him, it's at this part in the scene when you say this, and he corrects me. It's like, no, that's not the line. It was something about like the Summer Slayer versus Winter Warrior with the Dragon Duels cards, and he remembered it exactly. And I remember that it's something vaguely like that. But anyway, they were just so well prepared and just brought so much energy every day, and I just couldn't be happier with the way they performed.
Seemed like they were having fun with it too.
Yes, yeah. And actually, I think the moments where they had the most fun is where they could get a little bit looser, because my scenes, I tell them like we got to stick to the script, like we can't veer too far off, or it becomes stuff that I'm just going to end up having to edit out, But with the storybook sequences, we do kind of like these flashback things, yeah, where we see like the what we see these stories that Katie has read, like in her library. You know, she has this library of all these romance books, and as she retells these stories, we see like this sequence. But those moments where they're like running towards each other on the beach and like dancing around, that was so fun to shoot. We ended up with just like the perfect day out there, like where the sun was just setting and like, you know, and no like clouds or anything like that blocking it. So it was just like a beautiful shot, and the kids were just so jazzed. They thought that was so fun to be running towards each other and jumping and dancing around. So we did that a bunch of different times, and they just brought it every time.
So another part of the cast I thought was fun is Sonia Davis, who plays the mom here, was with you on one of your first big feature films, The Virgins.
Virgins, yes.
What was it like reuniting?
Okay, that was awesome. Like, because I was thinking that, like, all right, when I was thinking for a character for or an actress for the mom, I was thinking that, well, you know, it's been about 10 years since we shot The Virgins, and so it's sort of like, you know, what if it was like, you know, the mom, or the lady from The Virgins. Now, 10 years later, she could have a kid who would be like a 10-year-old. And then also with Sonia, I think too, just like I think her temperament, I think that like the seriousness that she brings to this was good, because like in The Virgins, she's not, you know, she's not providing a lot of the comedy. You know, things are happening to her, but she's just kind of reacting. Like for her, this is not, that movie's not a comedy, it's a horror movie. But with this one, you know, I wanted to be that the for the parents, again, this is a nightmare. This is the toughest thing they've ever gone through, and they're supposed to, you know, pretend like everything is normal when it's not. And now, and additionally, they're dealing with their son throwing a lot of different curveballs at them. So for them, it's like, this is hard. I feel like she just brought the seriousness, you know, as hopefully it's not. No, I don't want to say it. I'm trying to avoid doing the spoilers, you know, with talking about the story, but it's not a spoiler to say that, like, you know, from the get-go of the movie, that she has her foot down, that like the relationship between her and the dad is over.
Yeah. There's also a proud tradition in film of directors cameoing in their own films that I'm happy that you have continued, but few of them are quite as striking or perhaps unsettling as Dono the divorce clown. What was it like? Did you know right away that you were going to put yourself in there?
I think so, because it was such like a wild, like silly thing. I was like, bro, no one's gonna understand this. People are gonna. It was kind of the same thing as like with casting the grandparents. I was getting a lot of readings from people auditioning for the grandparents that were just like deathly serious. They were like, oh, these people are treating each other just terribly. I'm like, yeah, but to them, like, it's normal, you know. So with Dodo, the same thing. People might look at those scenes and be like, this clown is traumatizing these children, and I'm like, yeah, that's why it's funny.
But I mean, it is both hilarious and unsettling at the same time, which is, you know.
Yeah. But again, a key thing with Dodo is that the vast majority of the time when we see the Dodo character, what we're actually seeing is a story that Ollie is retelling. So he's heard this through the grapevine. Maybe the word has spread amongst the kids about what happens when someone goes and sees, you know, Dodo, the divorce clown. And so the legend has spread of how terrifying he is. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. We don't know, but that's what the kids are talking about.
Did you base that on anything you had seen or heard about from somebody?
I don't remember where I got the idea. It was just like, you know, so like you're always looking to like kind of stack the odds against the character, make it so like, man, this is going to be so tough. So I was like, not only would he have to, you know, move, not see his friend, not be around, you know, his parents all the time anymore, but then there's also like this other thing of like, oh no, now I'm gonna have to go spend weekly sessions with this guy, and like that's even worse. And you hear about what happened to the other kids, and like, oh no, nobody wants
that. So obviously, you know, fun Christmas film. What do you hope that people take away from this viewing experience?
I mean, without giving anything away, I think hope. I think, you know, I think it raises the question, like, why is this a Christmas movie? What does this have to do with, you know, Christmas? I mean, I think about hope, how Christmas in general is about hope, the hope of reconciliation between God and man. I struggle sometimes to answer the question about what to take away with, because I don't want to give away, you know, stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do the spoilers. But I think hope. I hope people are entertained. I hope people are left guessing until the end, like not quite sure where it's going to go. I hope that there's genuine surprise and fun there, that this isn't one of those Christmas movies that's like, oh, okay, I've seen this one before, because I think people do get that sense with the Christmas movies, like, okay, it's another one of those. We've seen these. We know exactly how it's going to go. My hope is that it'll go somewhere that you didn't expect.
I guess my other question as we look to wrap up here is, what's next for you? Do you have ideas that you're already starting to work on?
I have many ideas. Well, a lot of it depends on what happens with this one. It's like, hey, if this takes off, if people just love this and people are like, give us another Christmas movie. Like, I've got a lot of other Christmas movie ideas. I have other ideas that I could do of stories with specifically with kids. But also, if somebody out there watches this and they're like, we thought this movie was great, we want to give you $100 million to do your next movie. Like, oh, okay, I get the big ideas too. So it kind of depends on what happens here. Definitely want to keep making movies for the rest of my days, though. So it'll be something. I don't have I have a lot of things in the idea box, but nothing concrete. It depends on what happens here with this one.
Well, as I said, this movie opens on Friday. Tell us a little bit how they can get your film.
Okay, so it'll be on Prime Video for to rent and to buy starting on Friday, and then it'll also be on YouTube, which you can watch just free with ads. And then eventually, I don't know the dates for this yet, but it's been accepted by both Roku Channel and Tubi as well. So it'll be on those services. I don't. I wish I could tell you when, but they just kind of
hopefully before Christmas.
That's when I asked my distributor guy when he gave me the news that they accepted. He was like, "Oh, that's great. When?" And he said, "Hopefully by this Christmas."
Hey, you know what? People need that Christmas content all year round.
They do, yeah.
I mean, if you're like my wife, you start watching the Christmas movies in June and you just kind of plow through. So it'd be the blockbuster season.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to connect with you. Really enjoyed this one. The full review is out on our site right now. I have my review for this film, which will be out. And then be sure to pop over to Prime Video or YouTube and check out Awesomest Christmas Ever so that you can celebrate the season.
All right.
See you guys later.
Thank you.